Hey kids, it's Anna again, and today I would like to tell you a story. Once upon a time, there was a king who lived in a kingdom. He was a wonderful king. One day, he saw a slave. The slave was dirty, hungry, sick, and had chains around his wrists and his ankles. The slave tried to do all he could to gain his freedom, but no matter how hard he tried, he couldn't do it. The king was so moved with love and compassion for the slave that he told the slave's owner, "I will buy him from you." The slave owner said, "It will cost you." But the king loved the slave so much, he said, "I will pay the price." And you know what? He did. Even though it cost him a lot, the king paid the price, removed the chains from the slave's wrists and ankles, and freed the slaves. Immediately, the king and the freed slave became best friends. The king took the freed slave home, clothed him, washed him, and fed him. They hung out and played games and laughed, talking and dreaming together. And the more time the freed man spent with his new friend, the king, the more he loved him too. Wow, that is an amazingly incredible story. I mean, could you imagine if a king and a slave became best friends? Well, the story is even more incredible because it's true. Let's see if you can figure out who the story is actually about. First, we had the king. The king was kind and generous and loving, and he paid the price for the slave to be free. Who does that sound like? Oh wait, that sounds like Jesus. And not only is Jesus the king, he is the king over all other kings. Another one of our characters was the slave owner. Now, the slave owner didn't seem very nice. His slaves weren't well taken care of and they were in chains. Who does that sound like? Oh, that sounds like Satan. You see, Satan doesn't want anybody to be friends with Jesus. And if he could have his way, he would have everybody chained to their sin forever. That's not very nice. But then we have our third character, the slave. The slave started off in chains. He was hungry and sick and was dirty, honestly. And no matter how hard he tried, he couldn't gain his freedom. But the king rescued him. Who does that sound like? That actually sounds like us. This sounds like you and like me and everybody else who's asked Jesus to forgive them for their sins. You see, we used to be slaves too. We were chained to our sin. And no matter how hard we tried to be good enough, there was nothing we could do to gain our freedom. We needed a rescuer. So King Jesus came. He died on the cross to pay the price for our sins. And he rose again. So now, not only are we freed from our sins, we get to be with him forever. He has washed our sins away, clothed us in righteousness, and he is the most best friend we could ever have. Jesus even says so in the Bible. He said, "I do not call you slaves anymore. I have called you friends. You did not choose me. I chose you." Now, in this season of the coronavirus, we're not allowed to go outside very often. We're not allowed to go visit friends or families. We can't have play dates or sleepovers. It's just not allowed, and that might make you feel sad, lonely, and maybe even angry. But we can remember that Jesus is our friend, and he is with us always. And just like the king and the slave from our story hung out together and spent time together and played and laughed and dreamed together, Jesus wants to do the same thing with you too. But how do we do that? Well, we can actually do it by praying. You see, no matter what you're doing, whether you're playing or eating or doing schoolwork, Jesus is with you and wants to be your friend. So for instance, say you're having a tea party. Well, you know Jesus is with you, so why not pour him a cup of tea also? Tell him about your day and let him share with you as well. Or what if you were coloring? You could ask Jesus, "Hey Jesus, what color do you think I should put here?" Or "What color do you think I should put there?" Listen to what he says, because he might say, "Ooh, color that pink," or blue, or orange would be amazing there. But you have to listen. How about when you're outside playing in your front or your backyard? Recently, we've been having beautiful clouds in the sky. Sometimes Jesus will make them into different fun shapes. You might see a bunny rabbit or a train. Look and see what shapes he creates. You could even say, "Jesus, would you make me an elephant or a dinosaur?" And look for it. Maybe he will. You see, Jesus wants us to remember that even though we can't be with our friends and our families as much as we would like to, he is always with us. And not only is he with us, he is the most best friend we will ever